have now is not the Harry we had then. This is not the Harry of the Invictus.
Ignoring the hell that they've put their families through, let me run you through my mood board. It's called 7 Years.
That he has believed in, to his family, to the monarchy, to the country, to his grandmother.
With the wedding, we all loved it. I punched the air when I heard he was with a mixed-race lady. I thought Diana would be so proud. They had the world at their feet.
Hollywood rolled out its usual spectacle, flashing cameras, velvet ropes, champagne flutes clinking under a chandelier light. But Harry didn't come for the glitz. He came expecting deference. And the moment Glad said no, the night detonated in spectacular fashion. This wasn't a quiet snub or an awkward misunderstanding brushed aside with polite smiles. It was the kind of clash that makes an entire room freeze, heads turn in unison, and whispers ripple faster than the music.
His entire past, and what we have now, we've got two Harrys. It's a bit...
Harry didn't linger. He didn't smooth things over. He didn't play gracious guest. He exited like a thunderclap, sudden, dramatic, unmistakable. The kind of walkout that leaves people blinking and thinking, did that really just happen? Harry wasn't there as a nominee. He wasn't presenting. He wasn't being honored. His role was meant to be subtle, background adjacent.
Like Shakespeare, except that they're totally unreconciled. And whereas Shakespeare's Prince Hal abandoned...
In Hollywood language, he was a friend of the industry, a recognizable name meant to add polish without pulling focus. But insiders say Harry didn't see it that way. He wasn't there to blend in. He was there to be acknowledged, and the friction reportedly began days before the ceremony even started.
Started with a global interview with superstar Oprah Winfrey whilst Prince Philip was on his death.
According to multiple sources, Harry's team sent a formal note ahead of the event. It was carefully worded, polite on the surface, but firm in its request. He was to be addressed as His Royal Highness, Prince Harry. To most people outside palace walls, that might sound like a harmless formality, just a title, just tradition. But there was a problem. Under the 2020 Megxit agreement, Harry and Meghan explicitly agreed to stop using their HRH titles in any official or commercial setting.
And his good side for this new bad, whinging, wailing, destructive...
Not a suggestion, not a courtesy, a condition. One with very real boundaries. Glad, known for its unapologetic stance on equality and consistency, didn't hesitate. The response was polite, clear, and final. No HRH, no exceptions. Not tonight. Not ever. For Harry, insiders say this wasn't just about protocol, it felt personal, a challenge, a public line drawn in ink. His team reportedly pushed back, reframing the issue as one of heritage and respect rather than ego. Glad didn't budge.
I think we need a stronger word that you've been using. This man is a traitor to everything that he is.
That's when the powder keg ignited. On the night itself, everything appeared smooth at first. Harry arrived in a perfectly tailored midnight black tuxedo, the kind that telegraphs confidence before a word is spoken. Cameras flashed. Guests whispered. For a fleeting moment, it looked like he was ready to play the part, charm the room, and glide through the evening with practiced ease. Then came the introduction. The host took the stage, smiling, polished, effortless. The camera swept across the audience. And then the words landed, "Please welcome Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex."
British press for the interpretation, even though pretty much everyone picked up on it, and he even allowed the accusation against him.
That was it. No, His Royal Highness. No embellishment, no bend toward tradition. Witnesses say the shift in Harry's expression was instant. The smile vanished. His jaw tightened so sharply it looked painful. His eyes flashed toward a nearby aide. A brief, clipped exchange followed. And then mid-segment, Harry stood up. No wave, no explanation, no attempt to save face.
With the new gospel, the new heresy of woke and of mental well-being. It's a gospel which is purely of the self.
He walked out. The doors closed behind him and the room didn't erupt in applause. It fell into confusion. Heads leaned together. People whispered openly now. One producer later described it bluntly. It was like watching a king throw a tantrum because no one bowed. By the end of the night, the confusion had turned into chatter. By morning, it had become a wildfire. Social media showed no mercy. This wasn't Buckingham Palace, this was Hollywood. And the verdict was swift. You stepped away from royal duties, you cashed the Netflix checks, You don't get to demand the crown when it suits you. Even journalists at the after-parties weren't holding back. One A-list actor reportedly joked that GLAAD had done what the palace never fully could, say no and mean it.
Went to her grave with this hanging over her legacy. They had the Netflix series whinging about how they'd been treated, branding the UK empire to...
Instead of backlash, GLAAD earned applause for standing firm in an industry notorious for indulging celebrity ego. Their refusal became a statement. Harry's exit became a meme. And then there was Meghan, or rather her absence. No red carpet, no coordinated appearance, no hand-in-hand photos. She stayed in Montecito, far from the ballroom, far from the fallout. Insiders say that wasn't accidental. Meghan, ever the strategist, likely sensed the storm brewing and chose distance over damage control. The result was striking.
Which is where most people left it, about the importance of a relationship between child and father, which is odd because neither her or Harry seemed to want one with theirs. We had that sycophantic podcast archetypes, sorry.
One half of the Sussex brand appeared composed, controlled, untouched. The other walked out of a Hollywood awards ceremony over a title he had already agreed to give up.
Spotify longed to see through her and call them effing grifters. Meghan lost.
This wasn't just about HRH. It was about identity. And it exposed just how fragile that identity has become. 4 years after dramatically walking away from royal duties in the name of freedom, privacy, and independence, Harry still appears trapped in a strange, uncomfortable limbo.
The Americans finally seeing the light, and we've had news.
He is no longer a working royal, no longer bound by palace protocol, yet somewhere deep down he still seems to believe royal reverence should never expire. The problem is simple and brutal. The world doesn't agree. In the UK, many see him as a deserter, a man who turned his back on centuries of tradition for media deals, book advances, and streaming contracts. In the US, the image has shifted even faster. What once looked like rebellious courage is now increasingly framed as contradiction. A celebrity who claims to reject titles while clinging to them when it suits him. A prince who wants distance from the crown, but still expects the crown's privileges to follow. Hollywood embraced him at first. The royal mystique carried undeniable shine. Producers, executives, and influencers were curious. A real-life prince in California felt novel, exciting, marketable. But novelty fades, and when it does, behavior starts to matter more than pedigree.
Other winds fests, faux royal tours. My favourite one was in Nigeria, where they had to stand for the...
That sheen, insiders say, is wearing dangerously thin. One entertainment journalist summed it up with cutting clarity. Harry wants the perks of the palace without the responsibility. Hollywood just reminded him it doesn't work that way. What happened at the ceremony wasn't an isolated misstep. It cracked open a deeper issue that's been brewing for years. Relevance. In an industry where crowns mean nothing and credibility must be earned over and over again, every public miscalculation widens the gap between who Harry was and who he wants to be. By sunrise, the fallout had gone fully global. Paparazzi images of his storm-out dominated tabloids. Title tantrum, screamed one headline. No crown, no courtesy, no chill, blared another.
Look at this list of absolute trivia, which is, on the scale of human wrong, they're not even molehills. They're barely specks of dust. And they're not transformed into mountains. They're transformed into mountain ranges, lunar structures.
Social media did what it does best. Hashtags like #TantrumKing and #Prince of Entitlement trended worldwide within hours. The memes were merciless. One viral image showed a toddler in a plastic crown stomping away from a birthday party, captioned, "Harry leaving GLAAD because nobody curtsied." Brutal, yes, but telling. Serious outlets weren't laughing either. CNN panels dissected the optics. The Guardian ran op-eds questioning Harry's relevance in modern celebrity culture. Analysts slowed down footage, reading body language, tone, posture, every micro-expression.
What I feel, I know what you feel, I feel contempt.
Yes, I have no sympathy whatsoever. I think we've directed much of our ire.
What was meant to be a low-key appearance at an LGBTQ+ awards event became a cultural litmus test, and Harry failed it spectacularly. Instead of commanding respect, he became a cautionary tale. Former palace aides weighed in, noting that even years after leaving, the identity of being royal doesn't simply switch off. It's ingrained. But what works inside an institution built on hierarchy collapses in a space built on merit, optics, and results.
Meghan, over the course of the last couple of years, I think he really is the problem in his family. And you're suggesting, David, that in more robust times, the Tower of London might...
Behind the scenes, Hollywood insiders painted an even messier picture. This wasn't just about one missing title. It was about status, access, and control. Event coordinators reportedly struggled to accommodate Harry in the days leading up to the ceremony. Seating adjustments, lighting tweaks, script sensitivities. Individually, each request sounded reasonable. Together, they formed a pattern of someone accustomed to the world bending around him. And then there was Meghan. Her absence that night told a completely different story. This wasn't cowardice, it was calculation. Meghan has spent years building a brand rooted in control, composure, and optics. A public meltdown by her husband would have detonated that carefully curated image.
Get yourself into a dispute. There's a good principle of law, de minimis.
Yeah.
Don't dispute about nothing.
Yeah.
These are nothings. I think the silence is correct for the very simple reason.
By staying home, she avoided being caught in the blast radius. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. Harry became a walking headline. Meghan remained the strategist in the shadows, one half of the brand in chaos, the other preserving distance and deniability. In the UK, tabloids framed the moment as the ultimate contradiction, the royal who abandoned tradition demanding royal treatment abroad. Critics asked the obvious question: how do you voluntarily give up royal duties and then insist on being treated like royalty in Hollywood? The industry took note. In a town famous for indulging egos, Glad's refusal to bend became a case study in holding the line. Protocol over pandering.
More effectively than Harry.
That is true.
Every time he gives an interview, he contradicts.
Principles over pedigree. Organizers were quietly praised for standing firm, especially in an industry where saying no to powerful names can be career suicide. For Harry, it was a harsh lesson delivered under bright lights. Hollywood may be glamorous, but it's ruthless. Respect isn't inherited, it's earned. And royal pedigree doesn't shield you when the room decides you've misread it. What began as one awkward awards night quickly expanded into something much larger. A cultural moment about entitlement, identity, and the collision between old-world royal expectations and modern celebrity reality. And the timing couldn't have been worse. The Sussex brand was already under pressure. Spotify was gone. Netflix, once the backbone of their post-royal empire, was rumored to be wavering. Public sympathy, their most valuable currency, was thinning.
Times, it wouldn't have been knocked into a dog bowl. It would have been drowned in a butt of Malmsey wine. Which is, but again, if you look at the House of York, it's...
Insiders whispered about stalled sponsorships, PR advisors quietly stepping back, studio executives reconsidering risks. One Hollywood strategist didn't mince words. You can't market a man who melts down when his ego isn't stroked. You need stability. You need credibility. You need someone who knows how to read the room, not rage against it. Then came the numbers. Post-event polling showed more than 70% of respondents sided with Glad. That's not just bad optics, that's a flashing red warning sign. In Hollywood, perception is currency, and that night, Harry spent a lot of it very fast. This wasn't just a tantrum. It was a turning point.
Knocked into a dog bowl, it would have been drowned in a butt of Malmsey wine. Which is, but again, if you look at the House of York, it's exactly the same thing. It's a
Likability is everything, and a single public meltdown can erase years of carefully built goodwill. For Harry, whose post-royal future depends almost entirely on perception, that loss cuts deep. The irony is impossible to miss. For years, Harry and Meghan framed themselves as champions of independence, rejecting titles, walking away from royal duties, and loudly declaring freedom from monarchy. They sold a story of humility, modern values, equality, and reinvention, a clean break from tradition. And then came the Dorian Awards. In a room filled with Hollywood liberals who have little patience for centuries-old hierarchy, Harry chose his hill to die on, 3 letters.
And again, what's come out of all of this is a sort of simmering teenage resentment. We've suddenly got those
HRH. In a world where no one curtsies, no one bows, and no one cares about royal lineage, he demanded recognition. At its core, this wasn't about an award show. It was about identity, a man at war with himself, a prince who fled the weight of the crown, only to discover he couldn't live without its glow. By the time Harry exited the ceremony, whispers and camera flashes had already transformed the moment into a cultural spectacle. Social media detonated. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform flooded with clips, memes, and commentary. #Tantrum King.
This conversion isn't quite complete, and every so often the honest old Harry pops up and says, but actually, me grandma weren't a terrible racist. I rather like Susan.
#Prince of Entitlement. #HRHW. By sunrise, the story had gone global. Hollywood insiders didn't stay silent either. One A-list actor reportedly joked at a post-event gathering, "Next time we should all bow, or maybe just hand him a crown in a limo." Others were far less amused. Several executives quietly reassessed potential collaborations, wary of attaching their brands to someone perceived as volatile and entitled. Analysts broke the incident down like a case study. Many argued the meltdown wasn't impulsive. It was symptomatic. 4 years after stepping away from royal life, Harry still isn't fully free of it, nor fully accepted in Hollywood. He's suspended between two worlds, belonging completely to neither. That exit wasn't just anger. It was the physical expression of that internal conflict. Meghan's absence told an entirely different story. She didn't walk a carpet. She didn't take a stage. She didn't enter the chaos. Instead, she stayed in Montecito.
The perfectly decent, not very bright boy, bit physical, who used to be sorted out by the army, and suddenly, do you know what?
Well,
he's married his mother.
yeah. And
Calm, composed, scrolling headlines, watching the fallout from a distance. Insiders insist it was deliberate. A public outburst would have damaged the carefully managed image she's worked years to maintain. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. Harry became the storm. Meghan remained the strategist in the shadows.
There is somebody who converts. There is no doubt it's she. She has acted as his priestess into this new, absurd Californian religion.
Yeah.
Together they are a brand, but their instincts couldn't be more different. Harry reacts, Meghan calculates. His outburst exposed raw ego and frustration. Her absence reinforced control, discipline, and image management. That night didn't just reveal tension, it exposed the fragile balance between chaos and strategy holding the Sussex brand together.
The royal limousine, transformed, played in front of us, reenacted with added bitterness. And I do think, actually, I'm sorry.
In the UK, tabloids framed Harry as the royal who abandoned tradition only to demand its privileges abroad. Critics asked the obvious question, how do you reject titles, cash in on Hollywood deals, and still insist on palace-level respect?
Of self-absorption. But you know what, Nigel? What struck me about the whole thing was everything is so bloody petty.
Social media piled on, dissecting every frame of his exit. Every gesture became a meme. Every glance, a headline. Behind the scenes, producers reportedly took note. It wasn't just about HRH, it was about access, prestige, and control.
Accused a member of the royal family of being a racist. Fast forward a few years later, after putting them through hell, Harry denied racism within the royal family and called it unconscious.
Seating changes, lighting tweaks, script sensitivities. Individually minor, collectively revealing. To industry veterans, it painted a picture of entitlement that didn't sit well. And once again, Meghan's absence reinforced the lesson. Control the narrative. Avoid spectacle. Let strategy win. While Harry burned bridges in public, Meghan preserved distance and deniability. The result was a stark image, the walking headline versus the unseen operator. Harry's storm out became more than gossip. It became a warning, a global conversation about relevance, entitlement, and the limits of inherited status in a world that rewards performance over pedigree. Paparazzi shots flooded tabloids. Memes spread faster than official statements. #Tantrum King and #Prince of Entitlement trended worldwide. Every article framed the night as a cautionary tale for royals trying to reinvent themselves in Hollywood. For Harry, this wasn't just embarrassing. It was instructional. Hollywood doesn't run on legacy. It runs on likability, professionalism, and results. Crowns don't substitute for credibility. Titles don't guarantee respect. And privilege doesn't protect you when perception turns. By the end of the week, the consensus was clear. Harry miscalculated. His demand for recognition only reinforced the criticism he spent years trying to outrun. The tantrum didn't restore status. It eroded it. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was a snapshot of a deeper struggle with identity and control. The Dorian Awards will be remembered not for who won, but for what was exposed. In Hollywood, crowns don't count. Respect has to be earned, again and again. So what comes next? Does Harry double down, demanding royal recognition wherever he goes? Or does he finally accept that in America, titles aren't currency? One thing is undeniable. The Sussex brand is at a crossroads. Public goodwill, their most valuable asset, is thinning fast. Deals, partnerships, and influence now hang in the balance. As the dust settles, one truth remains. Harry's quest for respect may be the very thing costing him the most. What do you think? Is this the breaking point for the Sussex brand, or just another messy chapter in a saga that refuses to end? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more royal drama and Hollywood breakdowns. The story isn't over, and neither is the fallout.